Sabrina Carpenter's explosive rise is a total masterclass in personal branding that every founder and business needs to study. She went from child star to global sensation seemingly overnight. But it's not just because her music is catchy. She did it by following a genius 5-step branding playbook that is deeply rooted in human psychology. And in this video, I'll break down how Sabrina uses psychological triggers to make people instantly fall in love with her, the secret strategy to turn casual fans into a cult-like following, and how you can steal the same strategy to blow up your own personal brand. But the craziest part that no one is talking about is how Sabrina made one branding decision that changed everything. And that decision is what made her stand out from every other child star, and it's called the origin story with a twist. Now here's the thing. Every former child star have the same problem. They built their entire career on a family-friendly image, but at some point, they outgrow that image and need to do a rebrand. And almost all of them follow the same blueprint. Miley Cyrus, Olivia Rodrigo, Jojo Siwa, they all do a hard pivot and ditch the wholesome persona for something more rebellious, more edgy. It's to say, I'm not a kid anymore. But when everyone does it, it loses its impact. And Sabrina Carpenter knew this would happen. So instead of going the same route, she did something nobody expected. She leaned in. She doubled down on her femininity, womanhood, and hypersexuality. And she made it her entire brand without making it feel forced or inauthentic. And that is what made her brand stand out completely. Because sure, Sabrina also did a hard pivot, but in a way that nobody saw coming. She went left when everybody went right. And when you do something different, there's no one to compare you to. And now you're competing in the blue ocean. You're perceived as different, and naturally, you're perceived as better. Now, your origin story is everything when it comes to building a personal brand. And if you're an entrepreneur trying to stand out in your market, here's the problem. Most people don't put enough effort into their origin story. And when they do, they all sound the same. I was broke and then I made money. I came from humble beginning. It's been done a million times before. So how do you make your story stand out? You do this by tapping into what makes you truly different. Maybe you come from an immigrant family, you're a female in a male-dominated industry, or maybe you're an artist in a family full of doctors. Find your story, a story that no one can copy, and lean into it. Because when you have a unique story, the audience will connect with you on a much deeper level. But here's the thing. Even if you have the best origin story, none of that matters if they don't recognize your brand. Because a great personal brand isn't just about what you say. It's about what people see and hear and instantly associate with you. And that is exactly why Sabrina has mastered this next strategy. Semiotic branding, which is just a fancy way of saying how you use colors, icons, symbols to create an instant association with your brand. Think about it. Sabrina Carpenter, she always uses the color baby blue. It's on every single promotional material. She wears blue, her stage design is blue, her most famous album cover is blue, and this is all intentional. Because when you see the color baby blue over and over and over again, you start to associate that color with Sabrina Carpenter, even if you remove her name. It's the same reason why Hermes uses orange, Starbucks uses green, Coca-Cola uses red. But Sabrina took it a step further. She added icons and symbols in her brand identity, things like hearts, cherries, martini glasses. And these aren't complicated. These are simple icons that you can find on your emoji keyboard. But all of them reinforce her brand as someone who's really flirty, feminine, and really down to earth. And this isn't random, it's all calculated. Because when you combine all these elements, you're not just building a personal brand, you're building a world. And if you're building your personal brand, you need to do the same. Because here's the mistake that a lot of founders make. They build their brand like a resume. They focus too much on their skills, their job titles, their experience, but they don't think about what people see, hear, and feel when they come across their brand. And that's how they become just another commodity. And that's the worst place you want to be. Because people don't fall in love with what you do. They fall in love with what you represent. Now think about your personal brand. What colors represent your brand? Are you more minimalistic? Are you more vibrant? What symbols or icons capture your essence? And what kind of feelings do you want people to feel when they come across your brand? Inspired, entertained, respected? But having an iconic brand identity is only a small part of the puzzle. Because even if you're not great at design, there's another strategy that Sabrina taps into. A strategy that instantly helps her connect with her audience on a deeply emotional level. And that's nostalgia. Everything she does, from her old Hollywood-inspired outfits, her pin-up girl aesthetic, her retro-sounding music, all these things remind her audience of the past. And it's designed to make people feel something familiar. Why? Because nostalgia is one of the most powerful psychological triggers in branding. We don't just remember the past, we romanticize it. We associate the past with familiarity, comfort, trust, the good old days. And that's exactly why Sabrina Carpenter borrows prestige from the past and make it fit for the modern world. But most entrepreneurs out there, they still make the same mistake. They try chasing trends and trying to go for what's modern, what's hip, but people don't trust what's trendy. They trust what's timeless. So if you're building your personal brand, think about your past. What were the movies you watched, video games you played? Were you obsessed with Pokemon? Did you enjoy listening to early hip-hop? What kind of things that you grew up on that shaped who you are today? And incorporate all of these in your personal branding. Because when you use nostalgia, you don't have to force people to care. They already do. And if you're enjoying this breakdown so far, subscribe for more branding and marketing analysis. But if you really want to build your personal brand just like the most successful personalities and brands out there, hit me up with a link in the description. But here's the thing, nostalgia by itself won't help you elevate your brand to the next level. And Sabrina knew that if she wanted to go from rising star to a household name, she needs to borrow something much more powerful: status. And how did she do it? She did it by aligning herself with the people she want to be compared to. Taylor Swift, Dolly Parton, Brigitte Bardot. And this tactic is called association. Now, years before Sabrina even blew up, she was singing a lot of Taylor Swift covers. Until one day, she wasn't just covering her songs, she was headlining for Taylor Swift concerts. And this wasn't by accident, because if Sabrina keeps aligning herself with Taylor Swift, eventually other people will do the same. And here's why it works. If you keep associating yourself with things that are high status, people will automatically assume that you already earned that status. It's like if you stand in front of a luxury car or a broken down sedan. And even if nobody knows who you are, they'll make an assumption based on what you're next to. So when it comes to building your personal brand, be vocal about the personalities, the brands, the hobbies that you're genuinely into. For my brand, these are the things I want to be associated with. Because starting out, you're at a disadvantage. People don't know who you are or what you stand for. But when you associate yourself with things that already have social proof, you instantly shortcut your brand to a higher status. And that's what makes this strategy so powerful. But all these strategies, they will only work if you get this final thing right. And it's the genius tactic that Sabrina Carpenter used to not only build a fan base, but to create a cult-like following that will follow her anywhere. And the most powerful strategy that she mastered is identity marketing. Identity marketing is pretty simple. It's about knowing your audience so well, the dream, the struggles, the desires. And everything you do should make them feel like you're directly speaking to them. And Sabrina Carpenter does this perfectly. Her song lyrics, they're playful, they're flirty, they're full of innuendos, they're fun to sing to, but what makes them powerful is the fact that they say exactly what her core audience wishes they have the confidence to say out loud. Her choreography, her dances, they're bold, they're expressive, and they let her audience live through her. And even the way she improvises her lyrics in every city she visits, it makes the fans feel like she made the show just for them. It makes them feel special, because all of this serves one purpose: to make her audience feel like she understands them. And that's how you build a brand people are obsessed with. So when it comes to building your personal brand, instead of just asking, how do I position myself as an expert, you should ask, how do I make the audience see themselves in me? And when you're making content for your personal brand and you're not sure what to make, think about what your ideal audience would like to see and hear so that they trust in your brand. Because people might listen to experts, but they fall in love with people who make them believe in themselves. And that's the biggest difference between pop stars and entrepreneurs. Pop stars sell a fantasy, but entrepreneurs, we sell a transformation. And that means you don't just want to be aspirational. You want to be aspirational and attainable. Because if your brand feels too out of reach, people will admire you, but they won't buy from you. But if they see you as someone who has achieved what they want, and you have a clear roadmap on how you can help them get there, that's when they buy from you. Because you're not only successful, but you're also proof that it's possible. And that is where the money is made. And that's the 5-step strategy that Sabrina uses to blow up her personal brand. But she's not the only one doing this. If you want to see how the biggest personalities and companies turn their brands into cult-like movements, click subscribe, because in the next video, I'll be breaking down how one of the biggest K-pop groups broke all the rules and built a brand so powerful they redefined an entire industry.